right, good afternoon. Excited to get the 2023 season started here. Got a great opportunity for our program. Really excited about camp and the way that our guys worked, all that went into that. A lot of individuals that make it happen, and just the effort and the work and getting all of our new faces integrated into our program. So been a very, very good camp for us. Excited to be able to open the season on Saturday here at home against the Ohio State Buckeyes. 3:30 kickoff on CBS, so it should be a awesome day. Looks like the weather's going to be nice as well. So questions?
Hey, Coach, I know you've been asked this a few times throughout camp about what positions you feel best about, maybe ones you have some question marks. I guess now that camp's over, you're going into preparation, kind of where do you feel most comfortable with your team, and maybe some areas where, you're still kind of wait and see until you get on the field?
Yeah, I think, kind of throughout camp, as you guys have asked, and we've talked about different positions, I think the area that kind of sticks out, numerically is our defensive line, and just having some new guys there and the way those guys have performed during camp. So just excited to see those guys play. I think that's going to be one of the strengths of our defense. And then, our receiver room has a lot of depth to it. I like that room a lot. Running back room, I feel the same way about, and getting those guys through camp, working through injuries and nothing serious there, but just everybody has little things along the way that you work through. But I feel good about where we're at with those guys on those positions, and need a big week this week. Obviously, we're still in game week mode for preparation for that, and just continuing to build our offensive line. The depth there is always big. It's always important. Like the progress those guys have made, but we continue to work in that area as well, and then just keep building. I think the biggest question mark is just a lot of new faces in the secondary, so they'll be tested at a very, very high level right from the get-go. So definitely excited about that. So the kicking battle is really kind of an ongoing thing. Guys have definitely made a lot of progress there. Excited about where we are. I feel way better about that than I did a couple weeks ago. And those guys are performed very, very well in our mock game situation, where they get a chance to really all their kicks are game situations for them. So I thought we did respond well there. Special teams was crisp and sharp. So got to play our best football right out of the gate.
I guess, Tom, do you have a starting kicker?
We do, yeah, and so and those guys know all that. We're not going to post anything, but I feel good about that, and do feel like we have options, which is good. We got guys that have different skill sets and different strengths and things that they do in the kicking game. Obviously, both of our kickers are inexperienced in regards to field goals, on college Saturdays, but in regards to the reps, I feel really good about where we're at with that, and just I think they're ready to roll.
So I just want to follow up. I know you've split kickoff place kicking before. Would you split place kicking based on maybe distance or anything like that? Or do you want the person handling place kicks and extra points to be the same person no matter what?
No, I would say, Chris Freeman's going to be our kickoff specialist. That's, he was our specialist all last year. He does a great job with that. He's done really, really well all fall camp. And the field goals themselves is where we're kind of still working through, and I think it could be a situation where it's distance driven, based on certain parts of the field, different areas where guys are better at, even locations, hashes, and but more probably distance than anything. But at the same time, when you got some new opportunities there, and I feel good about the multiple options we have, but both Chris and Nico have really done well, and so I feel like that those guys have put themselves in position to be ready when called upon. So we'll probably let the situation dictate that.
Tom, the Big Ten announced the initiative on Friday to announce lineups 2 hours ahead of time, among other things. What are your feelings on that? What input did the coaches give on that? And just kind of generally, what have been some of the things you've been doing within the program to counter some of the concerns about sports wagering, with it being legal here in Indiana? That's it.
Yeah, so it was obviously discussed, several weeks ago within the Big Ten in our meetings. And so obviously we were expecting that to happen. And so that was really driven by our leadership in our conference. And so I think the coaches we had some questions at first, just how it was going to look and work. And But I think it's not real specific. I mean, obviously, if a guy's out, he's out, and that's one thing where if you list him as out, then he cannot play. And that's one thing that's different, instead of just saying, hey, this guy is probable or whatever, you just in these situations. But then the second category is a guy that's, could play, may not play, and so I think it's good. I think it's good for all of us to be able to have that clarity and that openness about it. And there's been a couple of teams over the years that have done this. I know Wisconsin did this and has always done this for a while since I've been here. And so we did play them. The couple of times we played them, they would put theirs out, and so, but I think that in regards, I think everybody knows why they're doing this. And so I think it's something that is good, and we're all on the same page, and we wanted to kind of be a leader in that and as a conference. And so our new commissioner really pushed for this, and I think he was right, and I think it's the right thing to do. And I think our guys, that might affect our players, but we have a systematic way of communicating that and putting that out before kickoff, and I like the fact that everybody's doing the same thing.
Given your inexperience and all the new faces, has there been any changes to game week, or have you thought through that, kind of trying anything different or different approaches, given kind of the different roster you've had versus past years?
Yeah, it has. It's affected some things we've done in practice. It affected the way we did our mock game. Just having so many new guys, just making sure it was probably more true to a real game than it's been since I've been here, just because of having a number of guys that are new with us that are going to be playing. A lot of times you get new faces, but those guys are not playing as much. But I think you're going to see there's a lot of new faces that are going to do a lot of the playing. So I think that's important to do that. And then just even as this week unfolds, yes, and this is our first true game week, and obviously to be able to go through that schedule and flow and all the things we're doing, and just being very, very prescriptive about that with our guys and our coaching staff and the meeting time with our players. I just think that when you have new individuals, even we have a few new coaches as well, so just making sure that there's no game day things that haven't been covered thoroughly, and I want to make sure we're really on point with all that. This should allow them to be able to be in a routine and be able to play their best and function at their best as a coaching staff. So yeah, I think there's no question that the newness of a lot of guys has caused us to really be kind of very purposeful in everything we do. We always have been, but even to a higher degree for sure.
Obviously, whoever you go with a quarterback, you have a redshirt freshman that's kind of getting thrown into the fire against Ohio State, one of the top teams in the country. Just how do you make sure that they go with the right mentality? They don't they don't feel the pressure of kind of a tough challenge, and whichever guy it is, just what do you need out of that position against Ohio State on Saturday?
It's preparation. Preparation creates that confidence. There's nothing you can do. You got to play the game. And there's no other way around it. I think that's experience has taught me that. I think it's somewhat obvious in a lot of ways, but at that position for sure, you just got to be in the fire. You got to be able to have those opportunities, and so, but preparing in every possible way. And I think that's a big emphasis. I sit in almost every single quarterback meeting and have the whole entire fall camp and just the work that they're doing, and even like we think about, hey, Monday's an off day. Well, it's an off day for everybody but the quarterbacks, and that's how they operate. That's how they think, and the way they study, feel, and prepare, and all the work that they're doing together. And I think that's huge. And so, but I think it's just you prepare and you leave no stone unturned, and that the competence that you have in your position and your skill set and what you're doing and running the offense. I just want them to be confident and play with decisive decision making. And you try schematically to help in that regard. You want to make sure you set them up to have the best success possible. And obviously, but they still got to get in the fire and play against a really talented defense that's big and fast and physical and has really good coaches, and they're going to be very well coached. And so yeah, that's, to me, is just a matter of it's preparation. That's the best answer I can give, and that's going to be key, and it's going to reveal itself, and we got to do a great job as coaches of putting it in the best position possible.
Coach, you kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, talking about the young defensive backs, but going up against a really talented Ohio State wide receiver group, what are you kind of looking for, expecting from that group, and maybe how the meetings kind of transpired a little bit going into this week?
Well, yeah, I think it's, it's all you got to do is put the film in and watch it for a little bit, and then they've added some new talented receivers to the group that was already very, very talented. So, but I think it's like anything else, it's, we have to play extremely well within our system, and we have to do what we do well. And they're going to have some catches and get some yards. You got to be able to do a great job of preventing the explosive plays. I think we all know that. But saying that and doing that is not as simple as it might sound. And so, but at the same time, you got to play your system, and we got to do a great job of like we always do within our scheme of doing disguising things. And if they know what you're in, it's not usually good for the defense, and so they've got such talented players. Now they're going to have a new quarterback, whoever it might be, and I'm sure we're expecting to see them both, and so to be able to adapt to that. But it's once again, it goes back to what I even said with the quarterbacks. It's preparation, it's confidence, it's playing at a high level of hey, you know what? They make a play, we got to flush it, we got to play the next play. We make a play ourselves, we got to flush it, we got to play the next play, and that maturity. And we do have some new faces, but some of these guys have played football, quite a bit. So they may be new to us, but not new to the game and not new to college football. So, but they also do have some young guys who are going to be playing more than they've played in the past in the secondary. So, but yeah, they'll be tested without question, and they'll be put in a situation where they're going to have to play really, really well, and they're also going to have to have really, bad memory. Something happens, you just got to flush and you got to go, and we respect it without question, but we got to play our game, we got to play to our standard, and we got to play really good football and defense.
Yeah, just throughout the last 4 weeks or so of fall camp, can you point to a few players that you feel like maybe have improved their stock the most or kind of maybe pushed for more playing time than maybe you would have expected?
Yeah, I think Amari Farrell is a guy that sticks out to me. Been here since January, true freshman, really good football player. And really, he's a guy that we've said, we got to get him involved on special teams, and he's risen on the depth chart. Jordan Greer's another one that's elevated his status on our team, and I think really improved a lot as a player, in the course of the spring, and I expected that and wanted that from these guys, especially a guy like Jordan who's been here. A guy like Amari, you really don't know. He's his first fall camp he's ever been in, and has had spring football as a high school athlete from the state of Florida. But being here all summer, just changed his body in the off season. Coming through the summer, and just being a guy that when you put the pads on, just shows up. And I think that's a really good thing. That's what you want. I think Linnell Carr continues to be a guy that is playing with a lot of confidence right now in regards to what we see in practice, and so it needs to translate to the game without question. But he's a guy that's been, is playing at a higher level maybe than we even expected in the beginning. So I'm really excited about that. Those are guys that need to do that at a high level for sure. I think Donovan McCulley continues to elevate his game, and that to me is something that I really challenged him about. And he's worked extremely hard this offseason, and just being able to be a guy that can, make game-changing plays, which is what we need on that side of the ball, and need to create explosive plays on offense to be able to allow us to move the football and then do good things in that regard. So those guys stick out to me.
Tom, can you talk a little bit about the respect you have for Ryan Day, the job he's done, the consistent excellence that he's done?
There's no question. It amazes me, sometimes when you hear some people's comments, about whatever, and all they've done is win a lot. And just go through and you study what they've done offensively. It's impressive, and the way they continued to recruit. And obviously he took, was obviously, given a great situation without question, but that's hard to take it and elevate it. They were one makeable field goal away from playing for a national championship, and so I have a ton of respect for him. I think he's done a tremendous job there, and I think he's a first-class person. I think he cares about his players. I think he does it the right way, and I just think he's special. I really do. And so, yeah, a lot of respect from my end from him and the way he does it, and obviously being a defensive guy, and he's an offensive guy, and he calls our plays. And so I just think that he's sharp and just really maximizes. Obviously they have great players, and that's part of it too. But also has a system in place that's puts you in a lot of conflicts defensively. So, but he's done a tremendous job. It's a lot of pressure. They're expected to do certain things every single week, and some people look look at that and think, oh, no, that's hard. That's hard to maintain that and then elevate it. And obviously the expectation for them is to win a national championship, and so until you do that, you get questioned, so, but at the same time, you can see it and they just continue to get better and better. And they may have their best team that he's had since he's been there.
Tom, we've asked you a lot about, I guess, the uncertainty around your team, position battles, things like that, but how do you prepare for an Ohio State team? You mentioned the new quarterbacks, I think a couple new tackles, obviously a change at coordinator, even if Ryan Day is going to continue calling plays. Just how does that change the way you think about them when maybe you've got to single out some things that aren't really clear yet?
Yeah, that's a really good point because, you think about those, the tackles, the center, and the quarterback. That's really kind of the triangle of how things operate, for an offense. And, once again, talented players. We've been through this before where they have a, new quarterback and it's whoever's going to be is going to be a very, very talented player. And they're going to have some new guys at other positions, but they're going to be very, very talented new guys, even though we haven't seen them play, a lot for Ohio State. So, but the unknown to me, when you think about quarterback-wise, we've had, I think this is not very many times that we had a quarterback, that we don't really know a lot about, and so there's not a lot. You have to go back to high school film, for a lot of these guys, for both of these guys, so I think that makes it unique. And they're also different quarterbacks as well. They have different skill sets, and so both can throw the ball extremely well, and one's more athletic than the other one is. From a running perspective, both can elude things. So that does create challenges without question, and so, but we got to have a great plan for that, great plan for both, but they have a standard of how they play, and you got a consistency in what they're doing offensively, so that's going to make it very, you just got to go out and you got to out compete them, and for balls and for plays and to making tackles, and we got to tackle extremely well. They get you in space. They got great athletes, and that's where they really put a lot of pressure on you defensively. So, but yeah, from a position perspective, that's going to have to be in-game adjustments. We'll see how it unfolds and who they're using and how they're using them, and how that chooses to be able to, modify what they do. But their system is what it is, and they do a really good job. So you guys got to, at the end of the day, you got to stop it.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about the offensive line? Have you seen the progress that you hope to see in fall practices? I know you haven't seen them in a game against somebody outside of yourselves yet, but have you seen the progress that you wanted to see in this fall?
We have, and I think it is hard to tell, though. You mentioned that, we haven't played against anybody else except ourselves for spring and fall camp. So, but I do feel like our defensive line has some different players than we've had, in terms of just the mass and the talent level. So that helps, give us maybe a true picture about who they're going against. And so, but I feel like we made progress. I guess we'll know for sure on Saturday. And I know obviously it's a tremendous test, and I've been here, this is going on my 8th season, and overall and running the football against these guys has never been easy, so whatever year it's been, even the year when we've had a chance to be in, in 1 year, first year we had a chance, and third quarter, we were in striking distance, and then obviously in 2020, came down to the final possession. But even in that year, we threw the ball well, but we didn't run the ball very well against them. So that's been a challenge consistently. Every year we played them. So, but I do feel like our O-line has improved. But at the same time, they got to show it on game day. And that's got to be a consistent thing that we see each and every week. So, but I know the work that they put in, the work our coaching staff has put in, and it's as we know, it's a huge part of the game is being able to run the football, protect the quarterback, and do a great job of playing great defensive football up front. So both line of scrimmages are going to be huge on Saturday, and that's not going to be any different this weekend.
You've mentioned sitting in on the quarterback meetings, but this is the first time just today you said you did all of them in fall. Did that, and I know that informed kind of how you looked at the competition, but just in general, did you take anything else away from that, feel for the offense, or what kind of did you get out of those and kind of sitting in and being able to participate in all of them like that?
Yeah, it's, by not calling the defense allows me to do that, and I was able to do that in the past when I wasn't calling it. And so, it definitely gives me a better feel for them individually, interaction, with Coach Bell in those meetings, just their ability to stay locked in and focused during that time is important. And then just the feedback that you get from them, you kind of get a feel for what they're thinking when they make a decision, what their process went through. And that helps me a lot. And just, there's no question, just the feel for the offenses, when you obviously you go against it, in the past, but now you're in the meetings more. And so I think it's nothing but a positive without question. And so it even just adds to being able to further make the best decision possible, and even as we, adjust moving forward. So I think it's just, time on task with the very critical position of the quarterbacks has been helpful for sure.
Tom, when it comes to Donaven McCulley, what's been his growth in terms of last year? Obviously, he was in learning mode, switching positions. This year, he has a year under his belt. How's that helped him? And you said you challenged him. How much has that affected the way you've approached him as well?
Sure. I think, the number one thing is just learn how to be a receiver. I just, whatever your perception of the position is, it takes more than just being a good athlete, and there's a lot of, technical sides of running great routes and how do you get open and how do you separate and how do you understand, the coverages that you're looking to read and evaluate. And so that's all been a growth process for him. So I just think the more he's done it, and I think he's obviously had a chance to have, two really good receiver coaches, and one's now in the NFL, and then Coach Tuck does a phenomenal job. So I think that it's been neat to see that part. And my challenge to him was, just go out there and play with the confidence and the belief that I know that you have to play with to be an elite receiver. When that ball is in the air, it is your ball. I don't care who we're playing against. I don't care what coverage you're playing. I don't care about anything else. When that ball is anywhere near you, you come down with it. And you have that edge about you, that swagger about you, and he's big and he's long and he's athletic and all those things that you see. And that's what we're starting to see is playing with that kind of confidence that you can't guard me. It doesn't matter what you do. So I just think that being able to have that core belief that this is how we're going to play, no matter what the circumstances, no matter what the conditions, no matter what the coverage, no matter what they try to do to you. So just really love the kid. He's an awesome young man. He works extremely hard and cares a whole bunch. And I just think he needed to grow in his confidence as a receiver and as a playmaker in that role. So I think we've seen that. Now he's got to go do it on game day.
Coach, you don't have a ton of experience at quarterback, but you're playing one of the best teams that you're going to play all year right off the bat. How much can it be a positive for them to be thrown right into the fire? This is among the best that you're going to see for them to be able to maybe grow from starting with such a high level of play.
Yeah, I think that, as challenging as it might appear, which there's no doubt it is, I think we all acknowledge that. But I think when you prepare for and get a chance to play against the very, very best, that's number one, it's why you come here. Number two, I think it really accelerates your growth. I really do. I think, and maybe there's going to be some growing pains through all that. I get that. We get that. But I think there's nothing like being tested by the very, very best. And those that are elite competitors, they thrive in that. They want that. They can't wait for those things to happen, and even though it isn't the easiest way to start something out, I think it also can be the best way for you to become who I believe you can become. And when you're going against that high level competition right out of the gate, the urgency, the focus, it's just, I thought yesterday's work and walkthroughs were just extremely focused and high intensity of just the mental side of things, which is demanded, in this situation. And so the quarterback's obviously no different. And I think it just, when you do that, everything accelerates in a positive way. So to me, it's how do you handle the adversity that's going to happen in a game? Because it's going to happen, wherever, no one knows what it's going to look like, but how you respond to that, to me, is going to be big, and how a game like this plays itself out. So I'm excited for that, and gets a chance to get a lot of questions answered without question right away, and a chance to be able to go against the very, very best from week one on. So I'm excited for our football team, and we will be ready. So we got to have a great week of preparation, and we coach till kickoff here in Indiana. So can't wait till Saturday. He'll be here soon. LEO, go Hoosiers.